If you've been watching our series of videos on Gravity Workplace, you will have seen that establishing location information is the first step to populating your system. Once you've completed the next step of creating asset data, you're ready to manage maintenance activities on those assets. This recording will cover how to raise maintenance requests on demand as a system user or a building end user, and how to manage these as a maintenance manager or technician performing works. The first step is to create your people, both end users and technicians. So to do this, we're going to go to the Facilities Help Desk module, under Background Data, and let's manage trades. In here you can establish trade codes with cost rates. So let's look at an electrician. Trade code, you can see the cost rates here. You can put a description in here and the working hours. Within this trade you can add documents, which for example could be a service contract for external providers. Next we go to Manage Teams. In here we can create a team code and a description. So under General Maintenance, for example, this is for general work. And this acts as a placeholder under which we can put team members. So now we're ready to set up our people. So under Employee Management, and Manage Employees, we can define employee. So I have a couple of contractors set up in here, just to show this is not just for internal staff. So this is Stephen Sparky. He's a contractor. He's going to be an electrician, you can probably guess. So each individual employee gets an employee code, all their data's in here, email address, their standard, whether they're a contractor or internal staff. You can give them a line manager, and we've set this person to be a technician. And with that comes the technician details. So we're going to set this person up as an electrician. They've got some specialist skills in pat testing. We've got some hourly rates in here we can put in as well once they're attached to this technician type. If they're a member of staff, we might want to put them in the office and give them a location so we know where they work. Contact information in here as well, and the list of any documents. So once the employee is created, we can attach them to a team. So we go back to Facilities Help Desk, we'll go to Background Data, and we're going to assign teams to employee. So let's look at that individual again. So their assigned teams are maintenance and general maintenance, and there's two teams they're not assigned to, which are the client team and the technical team. So we're going to leave that like it is. So I just wanted to show that you can have a number of teams that a person can be a member of. That's particularly useful if you've got remote sites where you've got a small number of staff that cover a number of responsibilities. So with those things in place, we could just let calls be logged, and then we could manage them by assigning them to technicians, getting the work requests completed. However, you'll most likely want to track the work request by type and filter these for automation where they would follow a standard workflow. So we do this under Facilities Help Desk, Background Data, and Manage Problem Type to get us started. So in here you can see we have some general maintenance and electrical work. So again, these are placeholders against which we're going to log requests later on. So let's try that. Let's log a request. So let's go to Manage Request and log a request. Within this request, you can pinpoint the location. So you see these things here will give you a floor plan, so you can locate that on a floor plan, just so you can validate the area you're going to log the call in. This can be done as a building end user or a system user. So you might want to give end users just the access to be able to log a request. So the request can be configured to go to the requested status, to approved, or via an SLA workflow process to issued. If you set it to the requested status, this will allow for acceptance or rejection. So this will help you validate what an end user, for example, is trying to request, and you may also want to reject duplicate requests. Let's now log a request so I can show you what that looks like. So we've hit log a request under Facilities Help Desk Manage Request. So within the request, you can pinpoint the location. Let's give it a location, and let's give it a room. So here you can see all of the rooms available. Let's just select one. And you can click on these buttons and it will give you the floor plan view, and you can validate that you've selected the room that you think you have. You can do this activity as a building end user or a system user. So you might want to set up your building end users just so they can log a request but not do anything else. And when the request is logged, let me select a problem type. And I'm going to say this is a electrical issue. I'm going to give it a description. Let's say we think we've got a blown fuse. And we save. So there's our request details. Request ID is 737. We can go to these details. And that gives us the full call information. We can also find this through the request console. This is designed for people who oversee multiple work requests. So you can filter by work requests by location, by asset, and status, etc. You can also request the filter on the request ID. So let me enter that. 737 and filter. And here you can see all statuses for the request. So you'd follow it through this flow. So our request has gone into approved, so just one there it is, and back into the details. So we can now do things like add documents. So that could be any type of document you can add here, or photographs. You can add comments, you can assign parts and tools, and you can track costs. So I can also assign a trade and a technician in here. So from our trades earlier, we could assign this to electrician. I've set one up separately that's electrician contractor. So here's a good way to distinguish between those two. And I can assign a technician. So we can say how many hours you think the job's going to take. We can schedule it. Let's say we want that done tomorrow. And we can set a time when we're going to make that happen tomorrow. If a checklist is required for the work, so for example for an inspection, this can be included too. We'll look at this when we look at a technician performing a job. So when the data's in, the work request can be issued. So that's going to issue it to the technician, and he will get a notification. That's issued. Let's go back to our request console. If I look at in process, that's where this is going to appear. Here's a list of them. It's going to be at the end, 737. So you can see that is now in process. So that's going to stay there until the technician performs the work and marks it as completed. There's other statuses that the technician could use in case the job can't be finished immediately. Another option at the completion stage is that the request can be held for verification. So you might want the end user to validate that the work's been done, or you might want to do that through a supervisor. All of this work request functionality is available in the mobile application. Here's an emulator of it here. So this is what the technician would see if they're reviewing it on their mobile device of any sort. So they can do it in situ. If I look at, here's one that's in progress. This is a preventive maintenance activity on a boiler, and you can see the checklist. So you can configure these checklists to do whatever you want it to do. So in here, it's got some basic checks. You can describe if anything needs doing. You can upload photos. So that's really good for before and after activity, so the technician could evidence what they've done. And we'd save that. And that will go back into the main console. The other way to manage requests is through automated workflows. So these are otherwise known as Service Level Agreements, SLAs. These enable you to set up a set of rules and actions to automatically route work requests. For example, all your general maintenance requests for one site might be carried out by one technician. You can therefore approve and issue all of those requests directly to them. Alternatively, you might want all work requests for a particular asset type to go to a specialist technician or a specialist team. So we do this in the Manage SLA area. If we define SLA, so let's look at this general maintenance problem type SLA for an asset standard of fire extinguisher. So you can see that this is set to not notify the requester. Its default route it's going to take. It's going to auto approve it and auto issue it, and it's going to auto issue it to the general maintenance team. You can make this a particular technician if you want to, but sending it to a team means a team can then, the relevant person can pick it up off of the queue and assign it to themselves. So note that there's multiple priority routes. So if you log this call as a higher priority, it will get a different set of activity. So priority 5 is the lowest priority. You can see that this doesn't notify the requester, it doesn't issue it, but it does approve it. And you can change the days of the week that it's going to work on as well. So for low priority stuff, you might want to do it on a Friday, for example, like your catch-up day. On the right-hand side, you can see the SLA steps. Let me go back to my routine work steps. So you'll see the steps in here. So requested, approved, and rejected aren't options in here, so they're grayed out because in this request we've auto-approved and auto-issued it. Once the work request is in process, we do have some options. So with this one, there's an option to notify. You can notify the responsible person, so that's the person who looks after the call. You can notify a team, a technician, or a particular employee. So you can route this wherever you want in terms of notifications. The only different option that we have in here, beyond the notifications, so here I mentioned earlier you had different statuses, so you could put a call on hold for access if you can't get to the site, for parts, or for labour if you're waiting for somebody. So the completed stage is the one where you have another option. There's a verification step in here. So you can do a verification. This will notify the person that needs to do the verification. So again, that could be the responsible person, a team, or an employee. And that will allow the completion to happen. So that takes you through every step of the SLA, Service Level Agreement process. And you can see how that's aligned with the regular call on demand management process. So requested all the way through to completed and verified. That wraps up this overview of asset management with Gravity Workplace. Thanks for watching the video. Please do let us know if you have any questions, and you can do that via info@mass-plc.com.